But you know what? Speaking of being foiled, Disney has been foiled repeatedly with this Walt Disney audio animatronic. And my goodness, gentlemen, has this been a nightmare for the Walt Disney Company? We could see here on Disneyland News Today, they are detailing Disney reveals what happens if Walt Disney Magical Life cannot perform. If it goes down due to unexpected issues, Disney has revealed that a different show may be presented in the Main Street Opera House instead. There is a contingency plan for Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. A Magical Life.
Yeah, the B mode is you don't get it at all.
Yeah. Yep. So the contingency plan, found in the fine print disclaimer for Walt Disney Magical Life Virtual Queue, says the Opera House lobby area is available approximately 15 to 20 minutes before showtime. Capacity is limited. Joining a virtual queue does not guarantee the ability to experience Walt Disney Magical Life. Showtimes are subject to change and cancellation. In some circumstances, the Disneyland story presenting great moments with Mr. Lincoln may be presented instead. So guys, that's interesting that they're already like, hey, like if this doesn't work, we're just going to slap Abe Lincoln up there.
Yeah, so they have two presentations in the same theater, and they switch between them via a turntable that they've installed, which for quite a bit of money, by the way. I think the permit for that was about $5 million just for this kind of turntable exposition here. So on one side, you get Walt Disney Magical Life, this Walt Disney Audio Animatronic show, and on the other side, you have a new version, I'm guessing, of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, an attraction that debuted actually during the 1964-65 World's Fair, both in New York and then in 65 in Disneyland. It's been part of the park's history ever since. So it's an interesting idea to have a B mode in which it's like, hey, you either get it or you don't. I will say, you know, we've seen this audio animatronic figure spaz out a couple of times now via many Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter posts. And the issue seems to be stemming. I wanted to go ahead and pick your brain on this, Culture, from the fact that he is actually attempting to, like, he starts out in a leaning position and he's starting to get back up. And I think that's kind of the issue that we have with this particular show, with this particular figure. They did talk about how this is like the first time an electronic figure stands right from a leaning position like he does. And you can see he actually does it on one leg. I'm guessing that's a lot of weight in order to have for some of these electronic actuators. And that might be the reason why this figure might be going down. As much as it is, Culture, do we see them just omitting that portion of the show eventually and just starting in the standing position?
I think they're going to have to. Again, I mean, it's a lot different with these being electrically driven, as you described. This is the other problem with using piezoelectrics, is that linear actuators have a lot of check with me's during operation. And, you know, the control board is always looking for a fault so it doesn't tear itself apart. And because that is the primary and it is a starting position, I imagine it returns to either that or something else as its static stop. It's always trying to fight out of that position to get into its show performance. So yeah, they may have to omit it and just have him stand the entire time. It would be a lot simpler if he just was, had his hand propped on the desk and made a small gesture forward instead of actually putting again the starting position where it is. You'll find that, animatronics that do what they're doing there give you the illusion of movement, even on the American Experience, where you have both Mark Twain and Benjamin Franklin move about. They're on a platform that moves, a steel platform that you can't see. It's hidden from the audience. Here, you're eye level with his feet, and so they had to make sure that this was static and it wasn't an Olaf or something else where it could move about. They could have done that with this show, but they chose not to. And ultimately the effect would have been great had they used original hydraulically driven, either with fluid and or air, such as nitrogen, which they've had success with in the past. Had they done that, you wouldn't have these types of issues because this is a fluid singular direction motion for standing and rising, and that would have been that. Overall, the complication of electrics and all the things they're asking this creation to do is why it has problems.
Dumb Bear comes in here kind of providing more to your point here, Culture. The actuator for the leg sounds like it's under a lot more strain than the others. In POVs where it works, you can still hear a whining for that motor. That's pretty crazy right there.
That's they may have overloaded the linear actuator that they put in there. Again, another reason why fluids are better. I'm sorry, they just are, and Disney knows that. They know they're better. So
one thing about this attraction, guys, is that with the breakdowns and just with the way he looks, it's possible that they are not seeing the popularity or the volume that they thought they were going to see. Because if I can just share my screen real quick, guys, the virtual queue is currently not being used. The virtual queue they launched with what, a week, 2 weeks after? No, it launched on the 17th. So I mean, like, we're talking days after this thing launched, and they're already not using the virtual queue anymore.
It's almost like 26 hours, actually, because it launches on the 17th with a virtual queue, and rightfully so. I think there was a bit of demand for not just that experience, but that day. So you had a lot of annual pass holders, Magic Key holders, who were very very motivated to see this show on that day. So they had to shift the crowds somewhere. They actually used the backstage area that they use for the pass through on the east side of Main Street in order to line those people up, which is a very interesting idea. But it lasts the whole day, and then about 9 a.m. PST the next day they take it off because there simply isn't demand for it. And that's kind of what I predicted. Look, they might not use a virtual queue, but if they do, it won't last for long. In this case, it did not. And here's the other thing, Marvin, you might not know. When you have a virtual queue, you're saturating the overall capacity for that attraction, right? Well, this capacity for this attraction is actually reduced significantly because the hours are reduced. You can see right here, this is from the Disneyland app, only open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., only 12 hours of operation, when the park regularly at this time closes at midnight. So this is a lack of demand in more ways than one. And it appears that, according to MiceJet anyway, Imagineers are working on the show around the clock to keep the figure working. And there have been a few notable breakdowns and to tweak lighting and sounds. That also might be influencing why this attraction is closing early. But this is the third attraction in a row that has debuted at Disneyland Park that does not operate all day.
You figure, I just like when the thing breaks down, it's so jarring because it basically like just goes like it starts wobbling like
right,
and then just instantly they kill the lights, they drop the curtain. There's nothing to see here, folks, while the Walt Disney Animatronic is like, I was just learning to love.
Well, again, it's an awful lot of weight to move, and this never should have been non-mechanical. This is the same problem they're having in Tiana's big boring bunch of baloney, and everything else that they've got going on. Anything they see that thing just rocking back and forth.
It's so unsettling. It's more unsettling than like, if you saw Abe Lincoln or Tiana or something like that, because the Walt Disney, just watching him just freeze like that is so weird.
Well, just having Abe bend forward on, or as some people saw him snap a chair when he sat. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of weight there. So, I mean, and the mechanicals are heavy. And by doing this and using Mike Lindell as the model, I think that this is the least Walt thing I think I could have possibly seen. Imagine if Walt were to design himself in this location as an animatronic, or to work with the old men that actually made the park move in the first place. This would not be acceptable or have been the standard.
It's like when they add like a new president in for the Hall of Presidents, things like that, you don't see these kinds of issues there. I mean, is it just because this is so much more of a more complicated figure culture, or is what's going on?
It's a really complicated figure. It's also done with entirely different, motion structures. So it's, again, you can get away with this if everything's lightweight, but none of the things that you need to last for a long time can be made out of lightweight materials anymore. And so, I mean, outside of, completely laminated structures that, were made up of many layers that were, then also engineered to be articulable, thousands of times per day. You're fighting the natural self-destruction of something that has to be in motion and be under strain and stress for a long period of time. You're always going to have, because you can't afford for these things to destroy themselves, which these things would very quickly. You can't afford for that. You don't even have the ability to fix that in house anymore, because you don't manufacture your own parts in house anymore. And so if there's any error at all on the board, it's going to immediately go into B mode and shut everything down, go full on 101. So yay, enjoy your Disney destruction fest.
I keep imagining Walt's granddaughter, who was already so upset at seeing her grandfather, recreated like this, seeing that video of him freeze up and start wobbling back and forth. I mean, maybe it helps that it doesn't look anything like him. I don't know, but yeah, it's just really weird. As weird, and though I will say the Stephen Colbert video that you have on right now, Vash, is even weirder and more unsettling, and probably more offensive.
I think so. A lot of people had very strong reactions to that AI generated version of Walt that debuted in Philadelphia as part of the Traveling Roadshow for the 100th anniversary of the company. So, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and put on a creepy audio-animatronic instead. That was the idea there.
Yeah, I don't like their idea, but that's just me.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.